horses. Hey y'all, welcome to Just Jodee +1. And I just realized that I did my writing sprint intro instead of the podcast. Sorry about that. It's been a crazy day for this mama. Finally got some information and a picture of Tanner, so I'm feeling really great. And I am super excited because I'm getting to interview a friend of mine today. She's one of my whiskeys. She's an incredible author. I can't wait for you guys to meet her. This is VT Bonds, and she is an incredible writer and friend to my writing community, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her, and we will jump right into it. Hello!
Hi!
Hey, welcome. I just call you V. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Calling you V? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
VT, you over there. Hey, whatever.
VT, hey, you, whatever. Okay, yeah, I'm the same one. Yeah, mom. Yeah, all those things. Yes. Well, welcome. I'm excited that you're here. I had some technical difficulties earlier in the week, as you know, and I was really wondering if I was going to have enough bandwidth to do this. And my husband came through, as always, and found a secondary hotspot off of our cell phones that we were able to add to kind of boost our internet. So I'm really excited. I want to jump right into the questions. And I think what we'll start with is, when did you first start writing romance, and what pulled you into the darker, more primal side of the genre?
So I actually started writing with the intent of making it a business. And this was, I don't know, 2019, 2018, 2019, something like that. And I've just always read towards the darker side. So that was what I wrote. And the first thing I wrote was like a contemporary novella. And then I got invited to an anthology that was Omegaverse, and wrote that one and got amazing reviews. Everybody loved it. So I kind of stuck with Omegaverse for a couple of years. And that treated me well. But then just at the beginning of this year, I hopped back over to contemporary and started my Mafia series, and that's exploded. It's fantastic. So
I'm so excited. All right. Do you have a specific routine that helps you get into the writing zone? No?
Nope. I have 5 kids. I write every second. I write in Word, and I have like 10 devices that I can swap between depending on where I am in the house, or if I'm out and about and a scene comes to me, I pull it up on my phone, and just every single second, that's what I do.
Every single second is when you can write. So you get it in when you can get it in. So that's good for like anybody who thinks I don't have time to write because I'm a busy mom. Yes, you do. You just have to figure it out and find the time. That's very good advice. How do you balance your creativity with the demands of publishing multiple series? Do you take breaks from one while you're doing the other? Do you work on them all at the same time? How does that work for you?
Nope. I'm a one at a time gal. I can't. And just so I have never written none of my stories have been written in the same process.
Okay.
I used to think I was linear and I could only write beginning to end, but then life is chaos and you find ways to adapt and change. And now I get to where I'll be in the middle of writing one scene and another scene will pop up. So I'll skip some space on the manuscript and just start pounding that out, and then go back and forth. And sometimes I'll have 6 uncompleted scenes in the same manuscript for the same story. And that actually makes it easier to transition Like, it's like, oh, I don't feel like writing a spicy scene today, so let's go wrench my heart out in this other scene instead. So it's a matter of, I mean, you can't edit, you can't publish something that's not written, so you just get the words out.
Get the words out. I like. When do you know though that the story idea is the one? And this one is ready, this idea is ready to become a full book or even a series?
I don't always. Sometimes you have to do the explorative writing. You have to, like, the book that I'm just starting now, I'm figuring out the characters' backgrounds as I write it. Now, the previous books in this series, since I'm writing a mafia series and it's to market, I mean, it's still my flair. It's still all my story. But since it's more towards the mainstream market, I do, and like I've spent the last 5-6 years constantly doing research in the books I read, the movies I watch, the comics I read, like all of it. It's all you in, and I'm more of a, like, yes, there's the intellectual side of it, but also I am an intuitive writer in that I know where the pacing needs to be by feel. So that's, you just, once you've, I mean, it's like when you first started walking, you fell down every single flipping time. And now you go from one house to the next without even realizing it. You walk down the street, you go out to your car, and you don't even think about putting one foot in front of the other. And that's
I like that.
You build a skill and you use the skill and you keep the skill and you continue to learn. And that's what writing is for me.
That's a very good analogy. I got to remember that for myself. Let's get into some of your books. This is a book-specific question about Taken by Tanker from Monsters Ever After. The dynamic between the heroine and Tanker is intense. So how did you approach writing their connection and then trusting their journey?
So Taken by the Tanker is, all right, so about 2 years ago, I was writing in my Alien series, which that was a branch off of my paranormal. It was like, oh yeah, we've figured out all the problems that were on this planet and now aliens are going to come in. So that's the answer to that. So I was in the middle of writing Aliens and decided I really wanted to delve into a dystopian world. And me creatively, my word count that really hits me, that's perfect for me, is like 10,000 words. I can get a beginning, a middle, and an end and have everybody satisfied and happy in 5,000 words. But 10,000 allows me that extra grit, that so that's what I wanted. I wanted a series of dystopian, get it, hit it, be done with it. Just that HEA, that happily ever after that romance readers are searching for. And so that's what I did. I've always had the water world idea because so the Knottiverse will eventually have like 10 series inside of it. But this is the water world dystopian one. So it's the Knottiverse Alphas of the Water World. That's the series name. And so right now there's 8 books in that series, and they're all short stories. They're 10,000 words ish. And it's literally, you meet the characters, you either fall in love or you hate the characters, and then they find their happily ever after through whichever means they need to find it. And that was the whole point. There's no need for secondary. I mean, there are secondary characters, but there's no need to delve into any of that. You can hit those points and get exactly what you want. And that series was my refresher. After writing a 10-book series of full-length novels, I needed a creative refresh, and that's what that was. And it's those sell like hotcakes too, because I have a like at the bottom of every blurb, it's this series is light on plot, heavy on the spice, and that's what it is.
I like that. Okay. So another book specific question, and I know I'm probably hitting these out of order, but the Unknown Omega. Unknown Omega mixes action and deep emotional conflict. And the world in this series feels both dangerous and raw. How did you build the tension in the society that they live in?
So Unknown Omega was actually the first full-length novel I ever wrote. So if I were to go back and write it with the skills I have now, it would not be the same. You have to live, and you have to learn, and you have to go through that process. But and as I was writing, it was a journey. It was, for me as the creator, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was having fun with it. And I think that is at the core of it, what makes it so gritty, and what makes it so just fun. That's why readers like it, because it takes you on a journey.
Like that. So here's another one. Rescued and Ruined. And I am paying attention, fans, because I'm having to use my phone as my cards because the printer is down because of the IT issues. Rescued and Ruined, claimed by the Alpha series. The book dives into themes of trauma and redemption. What was your mindset when writing such emotionally loaded scenes? And how did you decide on the balance between the emotional healing and the intense Alpha presence?
Well, it all goes together. That's so Rescued and Ruined is the first in my Alien series. I think it's the Warrior Elite series. I think it is. And it's I knew that series was going to be darker than the first series, which is the Alpha Elites, which is Unknown Omega. That's the Alpha Elites are more paranormal, and the Warrior Elites are alien monsters. So they don't shift, they're monsters. And so I knew those would be darker. And when you have bigger, more intense problems, the solutions need to be bigger and more intense. So it was just a matter of plug and play and make it all work.
Make it all kind of fit together as you went. And that kind of plays back to the way you were explaining about the way you write. Because you're not writing linear, you can kind of plug and play and go. So I may try that. I'm not big. I used to be. I would be, because I would have a scene in my head that would not be the beginning of a book, and I had to get it down first and get it out of my head, or I couldn't go on. So I'm going to go back to my roots here in a little bit. All right, let's pull up the next set of questions, and it is on corrupt vows. Is that what we just talked about?
No, Corrupt Vows is my first in the Vicious Mafia Kings. So it's like contemporary arranged marriage mafia series.
Oh, okay. So it's also dystopian. And it's got the grit and the dark romance. So what inspired the vow system in that world?
So I mean, it's contemporary. It's in modern day stuff.
Okay.
It's not dystopian. It's not
really,
and it's literally so the one that so the Vicious Mafia King series is me stepping into as mainstream as I can go as a creator. Right. And it does follow those tropes but for me, I need the butter. I need the emotional turmoil, and I need the happily ever after. And the characters have to fight to get there. Like that is what makes a story interesting to me. So that's what I stick in there. And Corrupt Vows is, I was trying to figure out how dark I wanted to go with a contemporary series, and it turns out not that dark. The relationship in that one is not like the external is dark, like the things they have to go through together is dark, but once they figure out how to bring their differences together, they're that team that you root for, and it ended up being absolutely perfect. The ending, and I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to finish writing this book because I'm having so much fun with it. Yeah. But I have deadlines, so I guess I have to finish it.
But I have deadlines. And those pesky deadlines. All right. The final book-related questions are on a co-written series you did called Rescuing Red. So I know that collaborations can be tricky because I've done one. So what was your process like when you were co-writing, and how do you feel like it differed from your solo work, or did it differ from your solo work?
So it definitely did differ. So the sci-fi fairy tale fusion series that I did with Leanne Ryans, we're both Omegaverse authors, and we're both we do MF, so a single couple. And a lot of Omegaverse tends to be reverse harem. And so we knew that we were already writing in the same niche. We knew we liked our happily ever afters. We knew we liked our military background stuff. And so we just kind of, we were just chatting. We were already in a whole bunch of the same groups on Facebook and everything. And I was just like, hey, we've been in 2 or 3 anthologies together already. So what do you say we join hands and we write this one, because we ended up joining together to write a story together to join an anthology that was going for the USA Today Bestselling list, and we got it.
Yay!
So yeah, we got it. And then so I'm actually a 2 times USA Today bestselling author.
That's awesome.
But the theme was alien, and so we put all the things together that we liked and kind of shook it up and molded over. And we really liked the fairy tale retelling together. So that's what we did. We took our love of monster and action and adventure romance and shoved it all into a sci-fi series. And now there's 4 books. And I did a rebrand of them late last year. They've got new covers, new blurbs, and people just gobble them up because it's that high heat insta-lust, and they just, I mean, you've got Red Riding Hood, The Little Mermaid, all those classic fairy tales that you love with the extra zest added in there. So
that's cool. That is super cool. That is going to be on my to be read. I will be adding it to my books today. A question about that though, because I'm interested. Did you and your co-writer, when y'all were going at creating the characters, did you do that together, or was it like you take this one, I'll take this one, and we'll meet back up and talk about it later? Or how was that dynamic?
So we started out just chatting, like typing back and forth in Messenger, actually. And what we really wanted to capture, like the essence of the classic fairy tales of like the like, yes, we were twisting them a little bit, but we wanted the characters to stay like, if you know Prince Charming, he's kind of like, we want to keep Ariel in from The Little Mermaid. We want her to be that innocent, naive, going towards a goal that she doesn't quite understand the repercussions of, like we wanted to keep those characters same to that, but then we also had fun together. So we did most of the brainstorming together, and we did end up doing like Zoom calls and Facebook video calls and stuff like that. And we had Google Sheets that we used to keep track of names and middle names and heights and features and all that stuff. And then when it came to the writing, we both we actually used Google Docs, and
right at the same time.
She would write one character and I would write one character, and it was alternating points of views from the chapters. And it was actually quite difficult for me to get into, because I write first person present, and she wanted third person.
Wow.
Past. So we definitely paid good money for an editor because I was messing that up quite a bit. But and then we had our outline, and so if there was a day or two where I couldn't get to it, she could skip forward and write her next scene without being too and we just had open communication between the docs and the sheets and Facebook and all that stuff. We stayed pretty fluid in the whole process, and it was nice. Yeah.
It's amazing. So we are going to move to world, series, and style. When writing a new series, do you start with a single character, a scene, or the world itself?
Well, from a business standpoint, I go to the retailers, and so I'm actually in the brainstorming process right now, and I get excited about the genre that, I narrowed down like genre and tropes and things that I want to include in the next series. And actually, sneak peek, I have my next series. I have the first cover for the first book, I have the series title, and I have like keywords and stuff, and I'm working on the blurb. And so that's where I start, because you can always change those things and update those things as you write the book. So my goal is to get pre-orders up in the next month or two. And right now I am somewhat, financial oriented. I've got 5 kids, I've got a household to maintain. And so my next series, I do get excited on figuring out how to fit my style and my quirks into the mainstream tropes and stuff. And so my next series, sneak peek, the series name is going to be Brutal Billionaire Bosses, and I am I'm pretty darn excited for it. Yeah.
How do you do your research? If you don't, and you don't have to get into it like really deep, but just how do you even begin that process to decide, okay, this is what's really trending right now, this is what people are reading? How do you even begin to figure that out when it's just so overwhelming out there?
So, if you think about it, it's really not overwhelming. And it's not like, you figure out what you want to do and what you're comfortable with. Like me, I am never like, I could write light and fluffy, I could write closed doors, but I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't stick with it for very long. So I already know, like, my lane is, I like spice, and I like angst, and I like happily ever afters. So it doesn't matter the setting, whether it's dystopian or contemporary or sci-fi. I will have those elements in my stories because that's what I like. That's what I enjoy. So my readers, I think I have like 46, 40 something. I don't even know how many titles I have published right now. But I have built throughout the years like this. These are the stories I write, and it doesn't matter the genre. It doesn't matter. I mean, that it's also pretty obvious from the covers and the blurbs what you're getting when you buy one of my books. So,
Right.
But when I do start research, so when I did my Mafia, I knew I wanted to do Mafia because the good guys can be the bad guys, like the anti-hero type thing. That's what I was looking at. And so the billionaire bosses is just like half a step away from that. Like they are the red tape. They do less physical, like they're not out shooting people. They're just destroying people's lives and livelihoods in legal ways, mostly legal ways anyways. So so it's really just it's not like you're taking from the entire publishing industry and trying to figure out what you want to do. You look at yourself first, and then you go to the retailers. So you go to Amazon and Barnes and Noble, because I publish wide. I mean, if you're KU, you can look at the KU market and just look at Amazon. But when I start doing market research, I look at all the retailers and I figure out, and it's not about what's trending. I look for evergreen genres. So, hockey romances have been way up there for a long time, and now it's oversaturated, and that it's starting to go over that hump. But there will always be a fan base for hockey romances now. Like, it's never going to disappear. Right. So, I mean, billionaire bosses is something that it's evergreen. There's always going to be a reader out there somewhere looking for a new to them author. Yeah. So that, like, it's what I want to write. It fits. There is a market for it. That the market's never going to go away. So, and that's it. And then you go on the retailers and you look up. I literally just typed in billionaire boss romance, and then you can go into the different keywords after that when you niche down, like angsty billionaire boss romance and that type of thing. And just look at what's published and pick and choose what you like from each of those things and make it yours.
I like that. I'm gonna have to have a whole separate off-air conversation with you to teach me all these things. What makes a character worthy of being a lead in a V.T. Bonds book?
Resilience, I suppose. They have to, I mean,
good bounce back.
Yeah, my characters they're not based off of anybody in real life, but I've had enough experiences in my life and I've met enough people to know that I don't limit my characters. Like, they have their pros and cons. They are their own unique individuals. And so they do their own thing. They're fictional human beings, but they're still human beings. So they have strengths.
So you treat them like human beings. Mm-hmm. We have some comments. Let me show our comments. Your hair is your hair. I don't know who she's talking about, but we could both say thank you.
Oh yes, thank you.
Excited to learn. Ooh, Mafia. VT, I'm so glad you've published on multiple platforms. So Carolyn is keeping up with us today. The next set of questions are spice, dynamic, and themes. So What makes, in your opinion, what makes a good alpha or dominant character in your eyes, and how do you avoid cliches, or do you?
Cliches are cliches for a reason. It's like a universal language. It like you can't pretend like they don't exist. You can't lean too heavily on them, but they work. So if you hit those beats right as you're writing, a cliche will not feel cliche.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't avoid them. I write them when I feel like writing them, and I go off the wall when I feel like going off the wall. I mean, if you know the rules and you know how to break the rules, then you're doing it right. There is no wrong. When
right.
I mean, it's romance.
It's
No,
romance.
it's
How do you write consent and power dynamics in a way that feels responsible, but yet stays true to the fantasy?
So I've had several books that I've written that were solely for myself. Like they're published, but they were cathartic for me to write, especially when it comes to the consent topic. Because when a reader picks up a book, they can take away consent. They can set that book down at any time. I'm not forcing anything down their throats. If they don't like it, they can stop. They will not hurt my feelings. But I mean, it's fiction. It's fantasy. Authors and readers alike should be able to dive into however deep they're comfortable. Now, like I have my hard limits. I have things I'll never write about. And I mean, this last one that I just finished, it was pretty darn difficult. And it was a character, it was book 5 in the Mafia series. It was a character we met in the first book. And she survived some horrible things. And one of the trigger warnings on the book is, the loss of reproductive capabilities. And so that was, I'm very upfront with it. It's very hard topic, but it's also, hopefully it will help somebody out there. Like there's so many different walks of life and so many different ways of experiencing our one trip on this, on our one time of being alive, that fiction, reading books should be the safe place. Like I said, you give consent when you open up that book, and you can take it away whenever you want. So I write and publish, even though there is a lot of business mindset that goes into it for personal reasons when it comes to consent and the grittiness and the darkness. That's for me. That's cathartic for me, and that's because I have lived a life.
Yeah. Well, you're a Marine, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're a Marine. Has a reader ever pointed out something in your work that made you see it in a new way?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a good experience or a bad experience?
Both, actually.
Both?
I've had, sometimes when you do write dark, a lot of times you second guess yourself. Like, should I have written that? Should I have written it in a different way? Was I did I cross my own boundaries? And sometimes it's a good way and sometimes it's a bad way. But you learn. You either like it or you don't like it. You either change it or you don't change it, and you learn. And when readers point it out to the author, it means that they thought through it before they reached, like they had to go through several steps to reach out to you. and they had to put themselves on the line. So you always deal with them with respect, and you always keep an open mind. And I have apologized to readers before, because that's the right thing to do. I mean, that doesn't mean you have to go back and change the book. That doesn't mean you have to apologize for. That doesn't mean you have to change any. Now, I'm never gonna write something that's racist. I'm never gonna cross those lines. Like that's just gross. But there are some things, like like before I got, like, everything's a learning process. So you just deal with the readers and the fans with respect. That you show them, even if they're not respectful to you, you just have to keep that professionalism and be kind, because you never know where somebody is in their emotional journey. So
yeah, exactly. Well, I want to know for myself, if a new reader, one of my people, see this and they're like, what book do I start with? What book do you think would be the first book we should pick up?
Corrupt Vows.
Corrupt Vows. All right. Yep. All right. I will put that in our notes. And then last but not least, this is our last question of the afternoon. What's next for VT Bonds? Any upcoming releases or surprise projects, or anything that you can tease and let us know?
So I actually just pushed back my 6th Mafia book to August 5th. It was supposed to be in July, but my kids have been sick. Life has been chaos. Summertime is here, and so there's always distractions. So I pushed that back to August. But also I'm super excited for it, because it's going to be an amazing story. And the next series I don't have pre-orders up for, but it's in the works, and that's Brutal Billionaire Bosses, and it's going to be just as fun as it sounds.
That sounds like it's going to be fun. That is one of the genres and tropes, whatever you want to, I really enjoy. I love those, just because it's so far out of my realm of doing and knowing, because, what do I know about flying a private jet or running a multi-million-dollar business? So it's always fun for me to dive into those books. So I am very excited about that. Very excited. Very, very excited. Carolyn is saying, P. Fleetwood loves Mafia and can't wait to read them. Gonna go over there and grab those. Carolyn's gonna grab Corrupt Vows. And now she's going to get both books. She wants to read all of them. All right, that is awesome. Thank you guys. All right, I'm going to get ready to wrap up. And you guys know what I'm going to say before I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Let me pull up our music. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I am a really awesome group of people's double shot of whiskey. And I am so happy and so proud that you came and hung out with us today, and that you find me and VT just right. We love you, and we will see you later, guys. Bye.